here. Welcome back in, everybody. This is a privilege to have you back on board with Sports and Money, Pro Football Plus, whatever we're calling the show these days. We are loaded tonight. We have people all over the program. We may or may not have a guest jump in on us later, a surprise guest. We've got Corey back in with us. He's been out coaching football for a while. Hope he's been winning. He can tell us later. Youssef, Shane, Connor back. Everybody's here. We are loaded. You are here, most importantly. So let's get started. As always, we are excited to talk NFL football and a whole lot more tonight. I'm going to kick it off again with something we touched on last week. So I'll reset it real quick. Last week, we were talking about the Detroit Lions, and we had a Lions fan who wasn't overly thrilled with our coverage and mentioned something about the cult of Green Bay up there in Wisconsin, and we talked about that. Well, this past week after our show, we had a Vikings fan come on board with a few comments. So I'm going to read those right off the bat, and then we'll move on with the show. So this is from Bite Size Bikes, and I'm fairly certain I know who this is. So thank you, Bite Size Bikes, for reaching out. He said, "Fun show, fellas. The whiteboard in the back is elite. Yes, this is the envy of every podcaster and every YouTuber everywhere. So thank you. I realize I have an elite whiteboard." He said the Cowboys might have a shot against the run if they didn't have Mozzie Smith cut weight. Yeah, listen, Mozzie Smith was brought in to stop the run game for the Cowboys. So obviously they're still going to need him to try to step up and do that. But this is my favorite one, still from Bite Size Bikes. He said the cult does exist. I am one state west, safe from its influence. So not only do we have a Lions fan who's telling us about the cult of Green Bay in Wisconsin, we also have a Vikings fan confirming that there is indeed a cult going on up there in Green Bay that may or may not be yellow and green related. Packers fans, if you want to jump in and defend yourself at some point, either in the comments or on this show, bring it ahead. But thank you, Bite Size Bikes, for jumping in and confirming indeed the existence of a Green Bay cult. Let's get on with the show tonight. First of all, we are working on the NFC East. We're going to predict the records of each of the four teams in the NFC East. Shane is batting leadoff tonight. Take it away, Shane.
Okay, we'll go from the bottom of the heat to the top. I have the Commanders at 3-14. I don't think they have a great system offensively. I think they don't have a great system defensively. And the team has just been ran into the ground on multiple occasions. I think it will get better for them with the moves they've made, but it's not going to be this year. Then I think the Giants fall 8-9. I think they'll have a new head coach at the end of the year. Not necessarily his fault, but I think that's where they're going to sit. I picked the Cowboys at 10-7. I feel like that's just the Cowboys number. They'll win some games that they should win. They're going to lose some games they definitely shouldn't lose. And, they'll score some points. They have some defensive freaks. But when those mistakes start to compound during the playoffs, I'm always good for Dallas to lose in the first round. I think the strength for them, and they have a lot of weaknesses this year as well, are the Eagles. I think they come in at 12-5. They have some big spots to replace. I'll be interested to see how the offensive line plays without Kelsey in there. They have a revamped running back room, another year for the quarterback to get accustomed to how he wants to play. I mean, they switched offensive coordinators on him, and you could see how much of a change it made when Steichen ended up out of there. But I think the Eagles pretty easily be the top of the NFC East this year.
I'm interested to see where everybody's going to go tonight with that Cowboys-Eagles pairing, and then on the bottom end, I suspect most of us with that Giants-Commanders pairing. So, Youssef, where you at?
Commanders, 4-13. I'm being generous because I'm a kind person by nature. The Giants, I'm going to go 8-9 there. Not because Shane said I think that we should have – there's enough pieces that we should have at least a 3 or 4 game improvement. It was back all the games that we lost last year. We lost most games by about 3 to 5 points. That tells me we're actually in games for the most part, except for the Dallas shellacking. We're in most of the other games beside that. So 8-9 might not even be good enough. Might even do better than that. Might even break 500 for the first time in a while. Got the Cowboys going 10-7. Got the Eagles rounding out 11-6 to win the division by a very slight margin. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for them, especially with not having Kelsey and with the aging of DBs back there. They're going to have a challenging year this year.
Yeah, fair enough. Corey, welcome back. Tell everybody how football went and then drop the division on us, man.
Man, football practice is going pretty good, man. You know, coaching them has been fun. They're getting better. We got them in the weight room. We got them working on speed and agility and conditioning drills. So they're doing pretty good. They'll be all right. They'll be all right. But as far as the NFC East and how it's going to turn out, I'm thinking the Giants and Commanders definitely going sub 500. I don't see them being 500 this year towards the end. I mean, it'll make the interest in the division good if they were all really well. But I got a feeling that the Giants are probably they might win 5-6 games. I think the Commanders probably gonna win 3 or 4 games. The Cowboys might get around 9 or 10 games, and I think the Eagles will probably get 11 and 12 games. And I think the problem with the Eagles, like Yusuf said, I think it's gonna come up later. Their secondary is in question. I don't really know if they really addressed it as much as they could have, but their secondary is in question. Filling the hole in for Travis Kelce, Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. That's going to be a little bit difficult. But they got some guys on the offensive line, man. They might be okay. But I'm definitely going Giants, Commanders, sub 500. I think Dallas might get 9 to 10 wins. I don't think they'll win the division. I think the Eagles will get 11 to 12 wins. I think they'll win the division, although their secondary a little suspect. I think Jalen Hurts will find a way to lead his team. I feel like he's a really good leader. And they got a really good running attack going on right now between DeAndre Swift, Jalen Hurts. I think they can make a lot of moves with that. I'm going Eagles to win the division.
Everybody picking the Eagles so far, man. I love it. I'm hoping that we get some Cowboys fans in here next week and light up the comment section, man. Connor.
Yeah, so I'm actually different from all y'all. I've got the 3-4 switched up and the 1-2 switched up. So I've got the Giants at the bottom, unfortunately, at 4-13. Shane, I also think they're going to be getting a new coach. Daniel Jones, I think they're going to keep him under center for far too long throughout the season before they start trying to make any moves. And yeah, they added one receiver, but that's not going to be enough to turn the whole team around.
That's not all that happened, man. Come on.
I know. But,
hey, the Saquon Barkley thing is crazy too. I forgot to mention.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Barkley, dude,
losing Saquon is huge. It's going to be tough.
How many games would that cost us? He wasn't playing in all the games. How many games would that cost us exactly?
Probably three extra losses is what I gave it.
I'm feeling the Giants team over here, man.
Let me ask you that question.
I know.
You win because of him.
But anyway, then I got the Commanders only slightly better at 6-11. I've got the Eagles in second at 11-6, and then I've got regular season Cowboys coming out strong at 13-4, ready for another first round blowout loss. So.
Yeah, so I'm similar with a lot of y'all. I do like the Eagles, but I've got the Cowboys winning this thing at 12-5 because I do like their regular season. I don't trust them in the playoffs. I don't think anything special is going to happen there, but I do like their regular season. I think they're legit. I've got the Eagles coming in at 11-6. I think they come back with another pretty good year. Still got some things to work out there. We're going to talk about the Eagles more later. I've got the Commanders checking in at 4-13. I think they're heading in the right direction, but I think it's going to take time to get there. And the Giants, man, Yusuf, I'm sorry, I got them at 6-11. They are trying, but they're just not getting there fast enough. And I actually like Brian Daboll, but I told them jokers up in New York not to sign Daniel Jones to a big contract, and they went and did it. And that's going to cost Brian Daboll his job, unfortunately, because Jones just ain't good enough to be making that kind of money, and the roster still needs to get better too. So I like the Giants, but this ain't going to be the year, I don't think. We'll see if Daboll can pull a rabbit out of his hat like he did 2 seasons ago. Yusuf, I'm sorry, man. All right, moving right along here. We gonna learn.
Sports don't work like that. Y'all gonna learn.
No, I'm sure it doesn't. All right, next, we're going to pick on the Eagles a little bit tonight. We don't do that just to pick on them. I really am a big believer in if you are a coordinator of another team, you're probing for weaknesses. If you're the GM of your own team, you can't be all drinking the Kool-Aid about how good you are. You've got to be looking at what's actually on your roster and how it can get better. So that's what we're always coming for here. General manager mode today if you're the general manager of the Eagles, what position or position group are you most hoping the coaches can start to scheme or cover for? Shane, back to you, man.
So like you said, Ben, this is one of my favorite segments that we do. I love to think, about what different GMs and Howie is one of the premier GMs in the NFL. However, I think both Yusuf and Corey mentioned this inside their picks. Defensive back and linebacker are my biggest worry. I mean, you drafted DBs, but overall last year they were 31st against the pass. They were 30th in points per game. They went after defensive backs. They didn't help their linebacker room at all, which I think is going to show as a bigger weakness for them. Normally if you have some pass rush specialists, which they let get away again this year, and you're going to play young DBs, you need to make it so the quarterback has to pull the trigger faster. And I don't think they have that right now defensively. And I think that's their biggest weakness. I think it's the linebacker room. And then, as Yusuf mentioned, those are young DBs, and the NFL is not an easy league. And, if you're a DB in the Big Ten and you played against one great wide receiver every 2 weeks, now every single week you got the premier guy. And it's a big step up in the NFL. Even in the NFC East, you're still going to play against some premier quarterbacks and wide receivers.
Yeah, I totally agree. Love the X and O factor there, Shane. Mr. Yu, tell us about it, man.
All right. I'm going to stay in the DB realm because I think that's really significant. The loss of Kelsey is a big deal. We can predict that the young guys are going to do something, but we don't know. You got guys like James Bradbury. He's regressing. He got 2 years still left on his contract of $38 million, so he's not going anywhere. Darius Slay took a step back.
He did.
Both of your vets are struggling. Not a good sign. Vontae Maddox had a horrible season last year. He had 8 solo tackles, and 1 forced fumble. That's what he did the entire time that he was out there. So that's not really a good thing for the DBs overall. They got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in for a 3-year deal. That was good, and they drafted probably 2 of the best DBs out there in Mitchell and Dijon. But it's like you don't know what they're going to be yet. They got to get out here and play with a more sped up football game. So we're not really sure what's going to happen yet. But they had an issue with slot coverage grades. So those 2 guys should help out with that. Secondary still needs work. Let's be real about it. But I think that's the area that if you're the GM of the Eagles, you better protect and fix that area because guys in the NFC East going to be thrown on their schedule. Look at the guys that they got on their opposing quarterback schedule. They throw the ball and they throw it a lot. So those guys can get exposed if they're coming up short in any way, shape, or form. So the DBs, you probably want to address that. Plus, they had the 31st pass defense. They only got 32 teams in the league, so do the math. Not good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think this is where most of the groups probably go on, but I'll hold off until we get the rest of the groups there. I'm going to call timeout for just a second because our mystery guest just showed up.
Let's
up,
go.
Hey, all. Glad y'all are carrying on without me.
Oh,
This
man.
is
What's up, brother?
Austin.
Where you at, man?
Tell
I
them,
am
Austin, where you at?
I'm live from Antigua.
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're at a resort here. I'm on my honeymoon. This is my now wife, Madison.
What's up, Maddie?
What's up, Madison?
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How's the show going tonight, fellas?
Oh,
It's
man, we're
going
off to a
good.
rocking start. Yeah.
Your level of
we're talking-
commitment is here, bro. You on here on your hood. You are the man.
Just stopping in to say hi. Don't have time to answer any questions. Just wanted to check in on y'all and say thanks, Connor. Connor, thanks for taking my spot this week and filling in.
I'm gonna try to win you some money here, Free. Don't worry.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I think you're gonna be okay. You're probably like ahead of all of us, so whatever. We'll be fine.
No, listen,
All
tell
right.
your wife we thank you for coming on because, man, I don't know how many wives would be cool with that.
Hey, man.
So,
You
yeah.
got things you got to do, brother.
All right. Peace and love, y'all.
See you,
Live
Free.
from Antigua, everybody. Bye, Austin.
That's so cool.
All right. Well, that was Austin. Hopefully, he'll be back on in the next few weeks. He's just gotten married, and him and his wife. I think he said Madison. Correct? I've got the name right.
Madison.
Yeah, him and his wife Madison. So shout out to both of them from Antigua. Hope they look like they're having a great time. So that's a live shot right there. So, all right. I think we just about to finish Yusef's take. Corey, you're up, man. What's up?
Well, guys, we already talked about the DBs. The DBs are trash, man. They're like everybody's hit on it. They've taken a step back. League's getting pass happy. They're gonna tear them up. So I'm gonna go DBs, but also the running backs. I'm trying to figure out how they're gonna use the rushing attack because I feel like Jalen Hurts could be used a lot more in the running game, kind of like a Lamar Jackson type of style, but I don't really see that as much. I feel like they should use more RPO, kind of create more opportunities. And if you have Swift and Barkley, who's getting the ball? Like, how are you going to arrange, who's going to be the third down back? Who's going to be your goal line back? Are they going to put split backfield? You have them both in the backfield at the same time. I feel like those are very good weapons to help with the checkdowns and the receiving. I mean, they have the offensive firepower, I believe, that's pretty strong. Their receivers are pretty strong. Devontae Smith is a little skinny, but he gets yards at the catch. He makes most of his catches. So I'm gonna go with the DBs. They got to work on their either they're gonna revamp it, get some people, work on their training, and then I'm wondering how they're gonna work with the running backs as far as touches, carries. Are they gonna use them at the backfield as receivers? Are we gonna open up some RPO, some option type stuff with Jalen Hurts and in the backfield? So those are some things I'm wondering about how they're gonna, control the game, so to speak. Because if you control the game, you control the clock. You have a high opportunity of winning. If you can run the ball, pound it out in the crucial moments, at least we know how this game goes. So I wonder how they're going to put all that together. And one final shout out about the Eagles linebacker crew. They drafted Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson. So I guess they're trying to recreate some of that from the early 2000s. But if they don't have like a Brian Dawkins, the type, or Lito Shepherd, or a Sheldon Brown type of personnel, I think the DBs they got to work on that.
Yeah, Brian Dawkins, man. Good gosh. I talk a lot about him.
Flipping X, man.
Cotter.
Yeah, I mean, y'all touched on pretty much everything about it is absolutely the DBs and the linebacking core for me. I think a lot of it will have to do with how these young guys that y'all talked about come up and actually play once they start getting reps in. But it's tough. You can't, in such a pass-heavy league, have such a huge liability in your secondary. You've got to have consistency. But, on the flip side of that, they've added kind of 2 more offensive weapons, or 3 more really, with Saquon to help them kind of compete. So their offense was never the issue. Even last year, they were keeping up with teams offensively. It's always their defense that lets them down. So I think adding, Saquon, adding Paris Campbell and Johnny Wilson as kind of depth receivers, both of them that are a very different play style than A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, is going to be incredibly helpful to this team.
I love it. I agree with everything y'all are saying right here because defensive back, linebacker is going to be an issue, especially in the first half of the season. We'll see between Gardner Johnson and those younger defensive backs if they can kind of meld a group like a lot of other people are trying to do too by, say, late season come playoff time. See if they look different in December than they do in September. We'll find out about that. I wrote down center just because it is a new era here for the Eagles for the first time in a long time without Kelsey there at center. He wasn't just good. He was all-time great at center. And listen, yeah, absolutely. They'll still be able to run the ball and be effective. They'll still be able to pass block. I'm not worried so much about that. But Kelsey was so central to what they like to do, and that is be a bully at running the football and just absolutely push people around whenever they needed to. And what we saw for the past season or two, that 4th down and a yard push that they did better than anybody. Yeah. Listen, I love Jalen Hurts, and I know he contributes, and I know he got strong legs. He is never going to be able to do that again without Kelsey under center. Just not like that. Kelsey was the guy who drove everything for all those 4th and inches, 4th and a yard that allowed them to change their play calling so often on 3rd down the past season or two. And he has been the lead dog in all of their blocking schemes for the past 10 years. And even though they still got some good offensive linemen, they don't have Kelsey down there holding the middle. So will they be decent at center? Probably so. It looks like Juergens probably will be the guy. It looks like he'll be decent, but he will not be able, even on his best day, to touch what Kelsey could do. So that's just going to change how they do things. And so now I'm concerned not so much about how good center is going to be, but how will my OC start to change kind of what we do and us still be good at it. So that's what I'm going at here. But you guys are all over here, DB, linebacker, running back. These are all things that we're hoping that the Eagles can figure out if we are the Eagles general manager. Let's move on to the next topic for the night. still staying on the Eagles. If you are using the Eagles offense, we're going to attack a really good defense. So it's either going to be the Ravens defense, the Chiefs defense, or the 49ers defense. So real quick, give us which defense you want to go after and how you would go after it. Shane.
So I went with the Chiefs D, and you kind of really set the segue for me, Ben. Jurgens is going to shift from guard to center. The thing that Kelsey, I think, above all else, was elite at is a pulling center. It's not done a lot in the NFL anymore. His ability to move and get out on backers and be able to push people around was key. With him no longer there, I think Philly starts to attack more downhill. Jeff Stoutland, one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, and I think they're going to use their weight like they should. And if you're going against Kansas City, Chris Jones is that man in the middle. With Kelsey, you probably would have gone head up and tried to let Kelsey get him position and run off his backside. When you make that move, I think they double down and they're going to attack up front. As we talked about, how do you decide what running back is going to get the most amount of carries? I think in this offense, if you're running downhill, it doesn't matter anymore. I think against Kansas City, they're going to try to control the ball. You take the ball out of Mahomes' hand. Don't let him score points. Run the ball and control it. I also think Kansas City, each year that they continue to win, their weaknesses get shown, though. People are starting to pick off more talented players off of their roster each year, and then you have to fill back in. And I think the defense is going to downgrade from what they were last year, so I'd attack them first.
All right. I love it. I love the X's and O factor there, and especially the part about the center, Shane. Mr. U, give it to us.
It's a tough one. I'm going to go ahead and go with the low-hanging fruit. I was thinking about the Chiefs. I mean, they lost Snead and McDuffie. They're going to be inconsistent back there, but it feels like every year they have a problem. Like last year was wide receiver, and they seem to solve it in enough time to win the Super Bowl. So because they've been doing that at least the past 3 times, I'm going to go ahead and ignore the low-hanging fruit that Shane just grabbed. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Niners defense. They've been successful to the pass for all year long. They picked up 221 yards on average. They were a top 5 unit for most of the year, but they had big leads on people. And then once they start getting to the meat of their schedule, all of a sudden they start falling down in the defensive rankings. They got some reliable weapons out there. I mean, Brown and Smith with the Eagles, they're throwing downfield. They're taking advantage of that. And one thing that the Niners didn't do well was their opponents got in the red zone 55% of the time. So I feel like that's something that Jalen Hurts will take advantage of. They got inexperienced at corner with Charvarius Ward. I mean, he's probably the most experienced with the Niners, but at the same time, on a level in the league, not the most experienced. So he can be taken advantage of, but he is definitely one of the 3rd best coverage-wise in the game in years. But their safety, Hufanga, was out for a while. He's coming back in. Not sure if you're going to be fully healthy. You'll be ready to kind of roll. So I think they're probably out of the 3, the most susceptible to playing against the Eagles. So I'm going with the Niners defense for this time.
All right. No, I love that too. There's lots of different ways. The Eagles offense flexes out a pretty good bit. They can do a lot of things that other teams can't always do, and a lot of that's because of Hurts. So I think we're probably going to go several different directions here tonight. Corey.
So I feel like this question is pretty tough. So we got how will the Eagles attack the Chiefs, how they attack the 49ers, and how they would attack the Ravens. I think the Eagles are going to meet up with San Francisco again. I feel like they have this on the way to the Super Bowl type of thing almost every year. They end up in the conversation towards the end. If I were to attack the 49ers defense, got to get past that D line. You got to go over top of them somehow. Because, I mean, is it Bosa and Chase Young? If I'm not mistaken?
I think that's right, yeah.
Yep.
Man, Armstead, and I think their D-line is pretty heavy. So, I mean, if they can get past their D-line, I guess they have a chance. But the running game, I mean, it might get matched up. So, I mean, that's going to be tough. They had to get, like Yusef said, they got to get some air over them boys, man.
Armstead's gone. He moved on.
Yeah. But as far as that goes, I mean, I'm going to have to go with that, man. I mean, the Eagles, they have all the pieces. They got all the players. They just got to execute and make the plays. 49ers, to me, they always seem like they right there, but they kind of fall short. I don't know why, though. I mean, like, they look good all year, and it's kind of like a Cowboys thing. They look good all year, and it's kind of like they don't finish at the end. I'm like, Y'all supposed to the best defense. Y'all got a Travis Kelce tight end with Greg Kittle. Y'all have Debo. Y'all got Christian McCaffrey. And then, like I mentioned, all the defensive players, Mosa and all them guys, like, yo, but they seem to be vulnerable at times. And I think the Eagles could take advantage of that if they can get past that D-line, kind of maybe attack the middle a little bit, and just make them run ragged. They got enough running backs. They got Jalen Hurts. You just run them boys ragged, man. That's their best bet.
All right, I love it, man. They have Hargraves too, I think, on the defensive line. So still a stout defensive line there for sure. Connor, who you attacking and how you gonna do it, man?
Yeah, so I'm attacking the Chiefs because kind of similar mindset to Shane, I guess, on everything tonight. It feels like, but that's going to probably be the next time they get to the Super Bowl. Will most likely be against the Chiefs. The way things are going, I think the Eagles are very likely, and I think they're going to have to be doing it with a lot of run pass options and play action. They're going to have to be attacking away from Trent McDuffie, who's now they don't have L'Jarius Sneed over there for the Chiefs. They've got a much weaker secondary. And so, I mean, I think that if they can start spreading the ball out, having Jalen extend plays on the ground and making moves while, allowing Devontae Smith maybe a little bit more time to get open while A.J. Brown is getting blanketed, I think that they're going to have a chance, especially adding Saquon in there and being able to use him as a distraction and as a part of the passing game. I just think that is going to be such a huge part of it. I don't think the run is going to be as critical. They do have Chris Jones that they're going to have to game plan and scheme against, but I think if you stick Lane Johnson on him and double team him up with Juergens, I think that you'll be fine. Lane Johnson is one of the best tackles in the game at the moment. So I think that they can if they need to, but they're going to have to spread the ball out. They're going to have to move around, and Jalen Hurts is going to have to extend the play on his feet.
All right. I love it. Y'all both went after 49ers and the Chiefs, and I love the different approaches to both of those teams. I purposely picked the Ravens because I figured nobody would go after the Ravens tonight. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go after the bully in the room, which is the Ravens. The Ravens don't do anything bad. I mean, they do everything well. And last year, that defense only got better as the season went along. You talk about the personnel. They were regularly using 19, 18 different players, I mean, on an extremely regular basis, much more than a lot of teams do. But they got the top-end talent too. But their DC is gone, so we'll see how that changes everything. I'm going to use the Eagles O to attack the Ravens D. I'm going to start with the run game because I figure that's how a great way to start to kind of set the table here against a good defense. If the Ravens are not dominant against the run, they are good against the run, decent. They are not dominant. So I'm going to try to run the football on them, loosen them up a little bit, and then we're going to get Jalen Hurts. Hopefully, just kind of get him mixed up a little bit. The linebacking core, while it's still good, it's not as good as it used to be. So I'm going to try to interact right there with the linebackers, attack them, get them moving a little bit. If I can suck them in even just a little bit with the running game, now I can start to move against them with the passing, the short passing. If I can do any of that, if either of those things happen, now Jalen Hurts is on the loose. Now he's running good, running fluid, and he can even attack downfield. So that's going to kind of be my approach there against a really, really good Ravens defense that isn't going very far. Even if they're not top 3, top 5 this year, they're not slipping down the line much. They're still going to be very good, very stout. So that would be an exciting game, though, Eagles versus Ravens. Let's move off the NFL now, moving into our 10-5-1 segment. The Royals and the Rangers are going to play a weekend series starting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a 3-game set. I didn't check this for updated info, but last I checked, the Royals are second in the American League Central. The Rangers were second in the American League West. They're probably still very close to that. Who wins the 3-game series? Shane, you're first.
I went with the Royals. I mean, the Rangers are coming off the World Series. I think both teams have played well. I think the Royals, though, are the unexpected one out of this group. You had mentioned Witt a couple weeks ago when we were talking about steals. He's really come into his own. I think the Royals have what it takes. Also, early on in the year, I think now's the time where you go after the Rangers.
All right. I love it. And Yusef, you're next.
All right. I felt that way for a while, but you know what? Since I'm so behind, I guess I better play it safe here. So I'm going with the low-hanging fruit once again. I'm going with the Rangers to win. I'm using my whole 10 on this one. On the road, they got an ERA of about a run. That's their average on the road.
Wow.
The other boys, the Royals, they got almost a 7-run ERA. So it's like, I ain't gonna be more complicated than what it is. It feels like on the road, they don't look very good. So go ahead and go with the Rangers. They've been going deep into games with their pitching, which is very, very, very comforting for the rest of the team. Almost 8 innings pitched in, I think this is in road games. On the road, only giving up 1 earned run on average. They're doing it on the road, but at home they can't seem to get it done. But on the road, they're doing it. So, and they will be on the road for this series. So I'm going with the Rangers to win.
Steph, you did a lot more homework on this than I did, man. I just picked a team and went with it.
That's good.
Look at the numbers behind
I'm impressed.
No choice.
I'm impressed. I'm going to steal all your stats, but, I'm glad you went first. Corey.
Man, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I am going to put $10 on the Kansas City Royals simply because I love those baby blue jerseys, man. The baby blue jerseys, it just gives me that nostalgia a little bit. I want it, and it gives me that underdog feel too. The Royals haven't really been hitting on too much lately. Not that I could think of it. I don't think they've really been. Like you said, the Rangers have recently come out of a World Series run. The Royals kind of like, to me, like an underdog. So I'm going with the Royals.
Connor.
Yeah, I'm also on the Royals. Both these teams are kind of on a bit of a cold streak at the moment, coming off some struggles, but the Royals just have had a better rotation recently. And I mean that Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans, Brady Senior rotation, that 1-2-3 right there, has been absolutely outstanding for him this so far. Bobby Witt and Salvador Perez behind the plate are carrying the team. And, they've got their bit players that are doing the part, they're not the guys that you would ever think of. And they're coming out of a rebuild that's, really been happening since 2015, whenever they won the World Series. So they're kind of right at the peak. The Rangers are struggling heavily. I think they're 3-7 in their last 10. I don't foresee them, sticking strong and going into this weekend with a good mindset.
All right. Love it, Connor. For those of you who don't know, Connor is in control of Austin's money tonight. So Austin's at 605, missed a week or two. Connor's in control of all his money. So, Austin's standing in this contest depends solely on Connor tonight.
We're blowing it all.
Yes, please do.
You give out loans is my next pick.
I won't do that to him on his honeymoon.
No, you're going to wedding gift.
And borrow $400.
I was going to pick the Royals until I heard how much homework Yusef had put in. So, Yusef, you switched me. I'm a believer. It's all Rangers all the way, baby. $10 down on Texas, and they're going to sweep this thing, man. Okay? I told you we're cheating on here.
Oh. I'm not
all
going
right.
to win this, am I?
Hey, not if I can help it. Your score just changed. All right. Next topic. WNBA game of the week for us, not the game of the week, the game of the week for us. 4 p.m. Sunday, June 23rd on ESPN. It's the fever, it's the sky, it's more craziness, I'm sure, but that's the game we're picking this week. It's $100 on the line of fake money tonight. Shane, big decision. Where are you going?
We're gonna go fever for 100. I wish I could bet the chance of a fragrant one foul coming out of this game, though, because that would be easy money. We could get Yusuf back in the game with that type of bet. I think the Fever have just been playing better all around. The Caitlin Clark and her battles are going to continue, but I think the Fever is just a better team right now.
All right, Yusuf.
All right, I'm going Fever for that big dub. Tell you what, man.
All right.
I've been watching some of the games just to kind of just see what's going on, just getting past the narrative of it all. And the Fever are actually playing together, man.
Mm-hmm.
When they play as far, they pick their players up, especially Clark. They kind of battling for each other. Clark she's attacking, man. She's hitting the wide open shots and she's not waiting. She's finding the open man, doing all the right things that a distributor is supposed to do. They look really good. If you look at the standings, they're right outside the gate of being outside of the playoffs, but they're right there. And head to head against the Sky, they kind of been putting work on them. Aaliyah Boston is the name. I don't want to leave her name out. She's been out there serving Cardoso, and I love every minute of it. Looking like Kareem out there. It's like where was this at? It's beautiful. That's what basketball is supposed to be about, not the other nonsense. It's really good, though. But if people look really good, tell you what, he was going to win this game, I think. I don't know by how much, but they're going to win this game. They probably can't out-physical the Sky, but they can definitely outshoot him.
Yusef, you alluded to it twice. Who knew they actually played games in the WNBA? I thought they just sat around and stared and made mean faces at each other. There's actually
a league that plays on Ion television. I wouldn't even know they were even playing right now. What time did they come on? I don't even know what time they come.
Hey man, yo, this is the most physical. Like I was talking to somebody. I was like, listen, if they played like this in the NBA, it would be a lot more malice in the palace. It'd be a lot more like fights. Mm-hmm. I think the WNBA is really cool to watch how hard they go because it is like the flagrant that's a basketball play, yes. But I remember a time it was like, yeah, you want to send a message and all that, you know. So it's like we can't pick and choose when we want them to play hard and when they want them to not play so hard. They gotta play hard all the time. Caitlin Clark is the best player on the court all the time, so she's gonna get that type of defense. She's gonna get that type of attention. She shoot like Steph Curry. There's no way around it that she can pull from logo at any time. But with all that being said, I think the Chicago Sky, I think they finally will get into rhythm because Cardoso and Reese, they just pulled off a double-double each for the first time this season. I think they need a lot more of that to be, long-term competitors. And if that's going to be their advantage against the Fever, they're going to have to do double-doubles, triple-doubles, whatever they can to combat the firepower that Indiana has. Indiana has crazy firepower. And like you said, they're working together a little bit more. And that's what they need to show, that camaraderie. But if we can get I call them the Twin Towers. Angel Reese and Cardoso, if they get 10 and 10, I feel like it's going to be hard to stop. But at the same time, if Caitlin Clark pulls and just keep pulling, I mean, she takes them out of the game. But then say they got to switch it up, they got to get into the paint. That's not what you want with the Sky because they're gonna bust your head open. So I mean, I'm gonna go with the Sky simply because I want to see a little bit of drama, not too much. But I want to see a little bit of drama with the Sky winning the game.
Connor.
Yeah, see, I'm also going with the Sky. They just played, Fever won it, but I don't think Angel Reese is going to lose to Caitlin Clark twice in the season, especially not twice in the same week, especially after all the people that are, saying that Caitlin is so much better than her. You can see how much that really affects her and her mindset. So I think she's going to do everything in her power, to pair up with Cardoso and go out there and win that one for the Sky.
All right, I'm dropping all my money on the Sky too, mainly because they're at home. So we'll see if they can kind of come back on this thing, light it up a little bit. All right, that's our contest. We'll keep doing that next week. The show's got a little long, and that's okay because we got 5 people on tonight. We had our mystery guest, but it is now time for my favorite topic of the night. So here it is. Everybody load it up. If you could go back in history, any season, attend every game in person for one team, home and away, playoffs, preseason, you name it. You are there for every single game for that team for that year. Where would you go? Shane, you're up.
So I think the key part for me was the way you worded it, Ben. I get to see every single game. So automatically I went to baseball. Give me the most games for my bang for the buck. And I went with the 95 Braves. Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, Chipper Jones growing up. That was my guy right there. Anytime I got a chance to see him. They had a great team, won a bunch of games. And like I said, if you get to watch all 162 plus playoffs, it's the most bang for your buck. If I say Miami Dolphins undefeated, I'm still only getting to see 14 games. So I'm going to max out my potential to enjoy myself as much as possible.
I love it, man. I'm going to want to go with every one of y'all to every one of these places, okay? That's a lot of sports, but I love that. Yusef.
All right. I went baseball, too. I mean, come on. What are we talking, 162? See what you can get, right? I'm making a homer pick, the New York Yankees, 1998. One of the most feared sports teams in history. Led by Mariano Rivera and El Capitan, Derek Jeter. Had a record of 125-50. Domination. 11-2 in the postseason. That's more wins than any other team in the history of the entire league. They outscored their rivals by 300 runs over the course of the season. I said 300. That's how much money I need to win this contest. I need 300. That's how much they outscored their rivals. 300. They started off 0-3, and I heard all the people talking about, oh, man, here we go. All the typical New York naysayers, and they made history. So if I could be there for that, that was incredible. That was historic, to say the least.
That was quite a team. Yeah, quite a team. I love all of that. I'm going both places. Corey, where are you going to, man?
I'm going to California, man. I want to see those Lakers win that last championship they did together. Because I'm a big Kobe fan, and one thing about those teams that Kobe had later in his career, I did not feel like they were like, other than Kobe Bryant, they weren't like superstars. It wasn't like a big three type of deal. The big three of the Boston Celtics teamed up to take Kobe out, in my opinion. But that Lakers team was like the last time we seen Kobe play at such a high level for a championship. And then after that, you could start to see the decline, But so that last time of Kobe being like the best in the NBA, especially during like the coming of age of LeBron and like the new rookies of KD and the new players coming in, it was almost like Kobe became an afterthought. He was becoming an afterthought. It was literally happening. And I was like, no. Kobe's still that guy. I used to fight for everything I could to get Kobe in that conversation. And y'all know the conversation I'm talking about. And I think that Lakers team with who they had was almost like I'm not going to say ragtag, because I'm not going to disrespect them. But you're talking about Paul Gasol and Bynum and Jordan Farmar and Steve Blake and Trevor Ariza, like just guys that came together that Kobe was able to win a championship with. Man, I just want to see that one more time. I watched the highlights of that series a lot because it wasn't very pretty. It was like kind of ugly, but it was very defensive. It was very intense, and just seeing Kobe get that dub, I would love to watch him do that one more time again. Absolutely. And then California is nice, man. Like, you can't beat the weather, they say. So I like to go to California for a little while.
No, I love the California angle there, as the Lakers thing. All right, Connor, you got to be picking baseball, right, man? You're not going anywhere 100%.
Else, right? No.
Okay.
Yusuf, you're going to hate me, but I'm going to 2004. I'm sitting my butt right there at Fenway, and I'm watching the Red Sox. We had just been beaten the year before by the Yankees in the ALCS. They sent us home. It's been 86 years since we've won the World Series. We go in, we sweep the division against the Angels. We go down 3-1 versus the Yankees at home. And then we come back and pull off a miracle.
Was that the Kurt Schilling game when he was bleeding?
That was the Kurt Schilling game.
You got that right.
Thank you. The bloody sock. The bloody sock. I mean, it's Poppy, it's Schilling, it's Veritek, it's Johnny Damon, it's Kevin Youkilis, Pedro Martinez. I mean, you got all the guys there. It's a great team, and to be there for the first time we won it in 86 years. I got to do it. It couldn't be anywhere else.
I'll do that.
I love it. I want to go everywhere you guys are going. I went straight decades ago to the 1955 Brooklyn Dodgers. And listen, I'm not even a Dodgers fan, but I am a baseball fan. And to be able to go back there, so we're talking Ebbets Field. We're talking back in the day when New York had several teams and they were all good and they all hated each other and their fans all hated each other. And boy, you talk about a Dodgers roster, starting off with Jackie Robinson. I would have wanted to see him play just by himself, but you get to see him, the 55 Dodgers in specific, because they were in Brooklyn. That was their last title in Brooklyn, maybe their only title in Brooklyn. Connor, you might could say for sure. But anyway, they beat the Yankees that year in the World Series. And of course, the Yankees were the absolute bullies of baseball and had been for a while. It was a phenomenal series. It was 4-3. I think the Yankees were actually up in that series 2-0, something like that. So it was just a phenomenal series. It was a championship for the Dodgers. It was in Brooklyn. It was at Ebbets Field. You had Jackie Robinson, all of that. But then I'm not even done with it, because there's more. You've got all the great Dodger players that they had at the time, which included everybody from Sandy Koufax to Rube Walker to I think even Lasorda was on this team, if I remember right. Pee Wee Reese is on this team. You talk about this place being loaded. Duke Snyder is on this team. And even more, one of the best things is you get to see all the visiting teams. So you got to see Willie Mays more than once. You got to see Ernie Banks more than once. You got to see Hank Aaron more than once. You got to see all these great players. would have been fantastic. I would have enjoyed every single minute of all that history. And you can't catch that on YouTube, right? That's one of the things. So much of the modern stuff, you can either catch it on YouTube or you can catch it somewhere. You go back that far back, you can't catch that on YouTube. And it would just be like watching Ghost almost. So I would absolutely have loved every minute of that, starting with the spring training all the way through the season. And then the World Series, I would have just eaten that up, especially Ebbets Field and the Jackie Robinson aspect. Would have loved all that. All right. That's my favorite topic for the night. Absolutely. We'll do that again here in 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to do that one again. So have a different place lined up. We'll go. All right. Final 60. Shane, close us out, man.
Okay. I'll start off with I loved everybody's pick there. With Corey's, Kobe Bryant hated everyone he played against, and that's one of the things I appreciated most about him. And that year right there is one of the ones where he said, it's on me and I'm going against everybody. Yes. For Connor, I'm a lifelong Red Sox fan. I thought that'd be a great pick from him, but the regular season didn't go great, so that's why I ended up picking the Braves for the full run.
98 and 64 that year.
Yeah, I know, but there were some terrible games in there for a run too. The Yankees had a real shot. For my 60, I'm sticking with the baseball though. Stephen Kwan right now hitting 398 for the Cleveland Guardians. One of the premier hitters right now. And he modeled a lot of his game after Ichiro. He's talked about that quite a bit. But he hits more doubles and more triples than Ichiro does. Ichiro really pumped the singles in, did a great job. Stephen Kwan and the Guardians have found diamonds in the rough time after time. Kwan was an Oregon State kid, and if you look at some of those rising young guys in Major League Baseball, a lot of those guys count their roots back to Oregon State, and Travis Bazzana has a chance to be the #1 pick again this year. So that's my 60.
I love it. Yusef, where are you going?
All right. I'm a sucker for a great story, man. So I encourage you to look up the name Willie Mack III. Look it up. Dude went from being homeless, living in his car for a year and a half, sleeping on a friend's sofa, trying to avoid going to his parents' house. He got to stay in the pro game and make a career. He only had 2 events for $766. Up to last year, played in 20 tournaments on the PGA Tour, or a developmental tour anyway. Now he's won a playoff. He's in the U.S. Open, matching up against Scotty Scheffler, #1 in the world, Jordan Spieth, and his own idol, Tiger Woods, out there running with them. One over, how you pronounce it? 1 over par 71. I'm not a golfer, so I'm just telling you what I know. And on top of that, he's trying to bring his childhood love of golf back to his hometown of Flint, Michigan. They got a lot of problems going on. You know that. A lot of water issues still going. It's not in the news, but it's still happening right now, still today. And all the golf courses have been removed from Flint, Michigan. So he's trying to bring it all back, bring the love back, bring the courses back, so that we can kind of pass that love of golf on to the next generation. So it's a name to watch for years to come, man. But an incredible story, man. Willie Mack III. Look that name up, man. Check him out, man. It's worth reading, man. Incredible article, man. Bring tears to you.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I've never had that kind of high, and I've never had that kind of low either. So hats off to him for doing both, man. Yeah. All right, Corey.
Man, for my 60 seconds, man, I went to see the movie Inside Out 2 with the kids, man. And listen,
yes,
if you struggle with some of these things as far as stress, anxiety, it can be a bit triggering. I'm not gonna lie, it had me feeling like, oh man, dang. But I think a lot of the stuff they portrayed in the movie, yes, it's a kids movie, but I think it's actually for us. Because a lot of things they talked about was like, when you're not in control of situations, then what do you do? Like, do you freeze? Do you make a wrong choice? You make a bad choice? And then, it all ties in back to what I'm doing with coaching and teaching and all that stuff. So like, my brain really appreciated to see that on screen. And of course, I got kids, man. I got no choice. I could be fully immersed in what they do. And I would say for 60 seconds of fun, summertime, go to the movies, have some fun, go like, hey, my man's in Antigua, go swimming, go to the lake, go to the pool, all that fun stuff, get married, get a honeymoon, all that good stuff, man. Just have a good time, watch good movies, probe into them, see what they're really about. I get really deep into like, oh, why they put that in the movie? Or why did they do that? And Inside Out was one of those moments. I was like, oh, I see now. But yeah, that's just my little 2-piece on my 60-second fun, watching movies, having a good time, everything all in once. Let's let that movie The other movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Another great movie. Watch that too.
Corey, I love
got
it.
me
You mentioned, yeah, no, man. We've been stealing Austin's thunder while he's been gone. So yeah, I'm glad you picked up the mantle, man. Corey, you mentioned the movie being for adults too. I think I can't speak for all adults, but I think all training videos everywhere of any kind should be some kind of a cool cartoon animated movie, and you'll get my interest a whole lot more than some of the boring crap that they've been putting together for decades in this country. Yes. Yes.
Trust me, working in HR, it is so hard to find good training videos.
It's because there aren't many out there, man.
No, there's not.
All right, Connor, final 60.
Yeah, so I didn't have a movie review. I've had my little puppy with me.
Oh, I'll check him out.
She's 12 weeks old now, so she's been keeping all my attention recently. So unfortunately, was not able to come in with a movie review for Austin, but she's been taking up all my attention. You may have heard her a few times here throughout the night. So
what's her name, Connor?
Her name is Rosie.
Rosie, what's up, Rosie?
You can't be.
She is fully deaf, so she actually can't hear y'all.
Wow.
So,
is that a pit bull?
It's a lab and bulldog mix.
Oh, okay. It's funny. My dog's name is Rosie, man.
Well, there you go.
I don't know what I saw this thing. It was like people treating their dogs a whole lot better than they used to. They giving them real human names, and you know, we'll get into that next week, I guess.
Oh wow! And as we're recording here, Willie Mays passed away. Speaking of him,
wow.
So that just came through on MLB.
And Jerry West,
the legend. Yeah,
I know Jerry West and Willie Mays.
Yeah. Hats off to the legend, Willie Mays. So, anybody with a quick thought on Willie Mays before we shut this thing down, man?
One of the best all time. Do it.
You can argue the best in some cases, yeah. So,
bro, the catch he made, is still all time great, man. Still all time great catch, man. Golly.
Yeah, insane. So, all right, rest in peace, Willie Mays. I'm sure he's somewhere watching everybody right now. So, all right, thank you everybody for being on tonight. Yusef is pumping out more content than I can keep up with. So go check him out, Mr. U, on YouTube, on the X. He's all over the place. Shane, thank you as always for being here. Corey, thanks for hopping back in tonight. Connor, it's been a privilege to have you on board. Hats off to Austin. Everybody in the audience, thank you for watching. Have a great one. Goodbye.